Okay, we're now going to look at the historian software from two different perspectives. The first is the configuration and administration side of things, and then the second is the visualization of the data. So if you look at this next slide, we'll get to the demo in just a second, but on this slide you'll see our web-based administration application, and we have the ability to manage the configuration and to monitor the performance of our historian server. And in this case you see the collectors, and we have the ability to manage and monitor the performance of your historian through these web-based tools. We also have a Windows application that you can install on your local computer if that's of preference, and we'll show you that as well. In addition, we have an Excel add-in, and the Excel add-in has a couple of different kind of pieces to it. One is we have the administration tools for the add-in, so we have the ability to do things, for example, like importing and exporting your tag configuration. We also have the ability to export data and things like that into the Excel environment. In addition, we have query capabilities that allow you to pull data out of the historian that we've collected. So we can query current values. There's a raw data query that allows you to query raw data over a time period. We have a calculated data query. So as an example, I can say, hey, I want to look at the hourly averages for the last 24 hours for one or more tags. And then we have filter data queries. And each one of these kind of builds on the other. And the filter data query is the most sophisticated, gives you the ability to query data, but also to filter out data that might not meet certain criteria. So let's now go take a look at the software. Okay, let's now take a look at the software. I'm in my demo environment, and you can see here on the screen I've got my Windows Administrator. This is an application that you can install on your local computer, and it gives you the ability to monitor the performance and to manage the configuration of your historian application. There we have a similar web-based administration application. So you can see here, we've got some tools for monitoring the performance of my historian server. So I can pull up, here's my server up here in the upper left. I can pull up the detailed information, and it tells me things like, hey, here's memory utilization and disk space usage and so on. If I go back to the Windows application, we can see a lot of the same information here in this main screen of this application. In addition to monitoring the performance of the historian server, we can also configure and manage the configuration of the historian. So if I start over here on the right with data stores, the data stores are where we have the archive files where the data is actually collected and stored. And so I've got several different data stores. Each one of these can have its own set of archive files that contain data. In all of the different parts of the configuration, you'll see that we have configuration options that you can set very easily that allow you to manage this configuration. So I don't have to do any kind of very complex things in order to manage my system here. So I can change options here, and there's an update button, and any changes that I make will take effect as soon as I update that configuration. So we have a lot of different configuration options, including security that allows you to use either local or domain security for your users, and to essentially to protect the data. The collectors, very similar. We have collector interface here that allows us to manage the collector information, and all of this is very simply point and click. And click, if you change anything, there's an update button that makes those changes take effect immediately. And then same thing for the historian tags that we're collecting data on. So if I do a search here in my historian, I can see here's all of the tags that are configured, and I can select any one or more of these tags, and I can view the data for that tag here, the configuration data for that tag. So I can look at the configuration of the data source, the collection options, so we can see here how often we're collecting data, and I can change this if I want to. So again, if I do make a change here, I can change a value, click update, and now instead of collecting data every 10 seconds, I'm collecting data every 5 seconds for this particular tag. We have scaling options and compression options and some advanced options for each tag, and you can change these here. We can also use, we'll show you in a few minutes, the Excel add-in can be used to import and export tag configuration to and from the historian. So this application essentially gives you all of the ability to do the configuration and management and monitoring the performance of your system. And the same goes for your web-based administration tool. So we can look at the performance information here. I can click on the configuration, and we can go to look at the data stores. Again, similar to the Windows administrator, and I can look at my tags and the configuration of these tags. So I can select a particular tag that I'm interested in here if I want, and I can then go to the tag editor, and it will let me look at the properties of that tag, make changes if I want to, and there's an update button down here in the lower right. We also, over here in this other web browser tab, I've got our Configuration Hub software, which is a newer, more modern version of this web administration. This is my collectors. You can see here that we've got performance information for the collectors, and then I can go into any one of these individual collectors or all of the collectors. I can see which ones are running, which ones are not. And I can see some information related to the collectors here. If I select one, it will show me some of the information. I can click on one of them, and it will take me to the properties of the collector and so forth. And the other nice thing about some of these new tools that we're building is you have the ability to remotely manage those collectors. So I can start, stop, and restart collectors. I can pause data collection. I can clear the memory buffers for the collectors and so on. So the bottom line is these collectors and all of the configuration is available to you through the web administration tools or from the Windows application that you can install locally on your computer. Let's now go and take a look at the Excel add-in and show you some of its capabilities.